Okay, I'm going live.
Awesome.
6 viewers.
Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. We are live. It's so good to be here with everyone. We'll just give folks a couple minutes, maybe a minute, just to join us. But in the meantime, drop your name in the chat, say hello, tell us you're here. We'd love to know who we have watching, and then we'll jump right in. So as folks are, coming into our live, I want to thank everyone. We're super excited to be here, talking with you guys. The first thing we're going to do is just introduce ourselves. A lot of you guys might know me, Fatima Wali. I have a background in business and sales and finances, and I've always been an advocate for women and girls, the environment. So that's kind of like my lifelong passion. And then I also have Mindy, Dr. Mindy Neiswanger. She is our climate scientist. So if you want to say something, Mindy, feel free.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Mindy Neiswanger. I have a PhD in Earth System Science, which is a funny word for basically studying climate change and the climate crisis. And so right now I do a lot of teaching, which I really enjoy, helping shape the minds of young folks, which is really critical. And so, yeah, working with neuterra has been really exciting for me on a personal level, because I've been really trying to bridge the gap between a lab scientist and somebody who's actually making a difference in the world. And I know that neuterra will make a difference in the way we consume, because the more knowledge we have, the better choices we can make. And I think that's what we all really sadly lack in our society, is we're just not given enough information for many reasons. So neuterra is going to change that.
Awesome. Angie, hi. All right, I got some friendly faces out there. Awesome. So we want to explain, talk a little bit about what the company is, what our overall vision is, and then we'll just go from there. So we're building an ethical marketplace for companies with supply chains that are ethical, that are transparent. And basically, you can learn where your products come from. So you learn how they're made, you learn their journey to you. We really just want to be a part of the solution that's building like an ethical fashion industry. So one that does not exploit garment workers or the neighboring environments. So if you can, please, when you get a minute, go to our crowdfunding page and read more. If you guys have any questions, by all means, just drop them in the chat. At the end of this call, end of the 30 minutes, we'll save maybe like 5 or 10 minutes just to answer any questions. So what differentiates us? So we understand that climate justice is racial justice, is social justice, is gender equality, and we're really bold about that. I think mainstream environmentalism, they're just now catching up a little. They're not quite there yet. So that's a little bit about us. We do have an amazing team, and we're really trying to build something that's hard and complex, and we're building this from scratch. Building from the ground up is tough. It has its challenges, but it's also super rewarding. And I tell folks, like, we really did start this in like a dumpster fire year, right? Like literally, we were brainstorming and we had meetings, and we're going to like accelerator classes and things like that between like wildfires, insurrections, power outages, COVID scares, having babies, like just everything was happening. So that's a little bit about the team. We have, they're not here, but that's okay. You guys we'll have another meet and greet when the whole team is here. But I guess some folks, I really want to make like what we're doing tangible, right? So I'll give an example, and I won't lie, this is an example my mom gave me, and I'm like, this is great. I'll tell people this, and I think it'll really make it tangible for folks. So not long ago in 2018, actually, so restaurant chains, they were legally required to provide customers with the calorie count, right? And all the food in their menus. So this was a law that was enacted by the FDA. And before that, folks, they did not know what they were eating, the calorie counts or anything like that. Now we get it. Some folks, they really just don't care what they eat. Like they don't care where the ingredients come from, how much sodium, how much sugar, or anything. But, we also know that that's not true for everyone. So some folks, they want organic produce. They want to know that their burger was was sourced at a local farm. They want to know the calorie intake of that particular meal. And they want to know that that one meal doesn't exceed their daily calorie count. So just imagine for a second having that same level of transparency for like a pair of jeans in your dresser or like a dress that's hanging up in your closet. So imagine being able to look at the tag on your t-shirt and knowing that it wasn't produced with slave labor, or imagine knowing that the dye from a pair of jeans you're about to buy, they did not contaminate local drinking water. So this is the level of transparency I think as a society we're trying to move to in general. Oh, hey, Erica. I love it. So yeah, this is like where we're trying to move to. And I think, a lot of folks in general, they're beginning to ask more questions that we weren't necessarily thinking about before. So, some people, they'll just get it. They'll understand what we're doing. This is the type of, transparency that they're looking for. And then some other consumers, we just have to teach them. I think once they are made aware that they will care more, and these will be some of the things that they look for before they start buying. And I also think too that businesses, they're learning, that they either have to like evolve or dissolve, because the way we're consuming and the way we're using natural resources is not sustainable. So businesses at a certain point, they just will not be able to operate as they are today. So we want to support forward-thinking businesses, both businesses that are, Mindy says this, that are smart enough to disclose their supply chains. So with that being said, I do want to share the video that we have, just to give you guys, some of you guys might have already seen it, but it's a couple minutes, so I'll play it. Let's see if I can remember. And sometimes silence is fun,
It looks like you're having a network error. There we go.
I am.
Okay.
All right.
Today, information is at our fingertips. A person can go online and become an expert on any topic, but we don't have that same level of transparency when it comes to the everyday products we purchase. That's because supply chains weren't designed to be transparent. As a result, supply chains are rife with human rights violations, caste discrimination, systemic racism, and ecological destruction. We're so disconnected from the impacts of our consumption. The reason we're facing a climate crisis is because the global north has deemed some people, some societies, as disposable. At neuterra, we decode global supply chains, societal, and environmental impacts and enable conscientious consumers to make data-driven buying decisions through our online marketplace. Once people are given credible and verified supply chain information, they'll be empowered to make better choices. Ever since I was a child, I was curious about the world around me. I couldn't understand why some folks were treated differently than others. That curiosity has stuck with me till this day. Going shopping became increasingly difficult. I'd often have questions that weren't being answered on any product label or tag. Was child or slave labor used to make this product? Were the workers safe from systemic sexual abuse? And what about companies' headquarters? I also had questions for them. Who are businesses donating to politically? What does diversity, equity, and inclusion look like on any given day? As an individual consumer, I quickly learned that obtaining these answers wasn't possible. I could spend hours researching a simple product and turn up information I couldn't readily trust. So I started neuterra to answer these questions. Good news? The technology already exists and is being used to track materials from source to shelf. We want to bring that information to you. There are real people making the products we buy every day, and their stories are worth sharing. We're raising funds to help us verify and decode the supply chains of 5 businesses owned by people like you and share that information during our beta launch. So please join us as we reimagine consumption. Your contribution will help us tell some of the most important stories of our generation. Thank you so much for your support.
Awesome. Okay. So that was a little bit of the video. And what I want to do now is I'll stop sharing my screen for just a moment. Again, if you're just tuning in, say, drop your name in the chat. And if you have any questions, throw those in the chat. So I want to explain or tell you guys just really quickly about our crowdfunding campaign. And then obviously, Mindy, you can jump in at any time. So we created an iFund Women account, which is a platform that helps women-led businesses, raise money for their companies. And right now, we're trying to reach our stretch goal. So that's the first goal in our overall goal of $5,000. So we're asking you to help us reach our stretch goal. And the idea is that, your generosity today will sort of act like a catalyst for future generosity when we launch to the public in just a few days. So in exchange, you'll receive, we have like a bunch of different rewards that you can choose from. I might be biased, but they're all pretty great if you ask me. So I do want to share them with you guys just briefly. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And we did not want to just send out like knickknacks and things like that. Mindy, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, obviously one of our goals is to reduce waste and consumption and excess stuff. And so unlike other iFund Women campaigns that will send you a mug with our logo on it, we'd rather do something that is benefiting society, both the planet and the people. So some of our rewards are, collecting memories. So for example, the featured award right now is a private lesson, either from myself about climate science and climate change, or from Fatima. And then we also have some other rewards that, we plant trees on behalf of you or for someone else. And there's a few other really great rewards. And so I encourage you to read through all of them and see which one aligns with your interest and support us if you're able.
Yeah. And I want to say that we will, we are running the campaign for a limited time. But throughout the duration of the campaign, we will have new rewards pop up. So just keep an eye out for that. Okay, hang on just a sec. Okay, yes. So, like I was saying, we really wanted to use today, take some time today to speak with you guys, share what we've been working on. Like, obviously, this is not like a business pitch or anything like that. If you guys have questions about the actual business model, feel free to throw them in the chat. But we really just wanted to share our passion with you guys, show you what we've been working on for the last 2 years, and just show you ways to support us where we are right now. And I do want to stress, like, there are a lot of brands. So a lot of successful brands that you guys know or know of, like Uber and Airbnb, all of those brands. So they really all started off by asking for support from friends and family and acquaintances and things like that. So I'm asking, like, if our mission resonates with you, or if you want to see us succeed, definitely contribute. We are going to go public shortly. We're looking forward to that. But we do have 3 things we're asking you guys to do. The first thing is definitely contribute today or tomorrow, before we go public. Like I said, a lot of folks, they want to back the winning horse, so to speak. So if they see that we're already doing well, then they'll be like, oh, you know what? There's already some interest in here. There must be something about this particular company. Maybe I should support and back this company also. And then subscribe to our page. So our page is neuterra.io, and then you can learn and find out when we launch. We are hoping to launch next year, spring of 2023, which we're super excited about. And then the third thing we're asking folks to do is just share our campaign page on your social media with friends, with families, slide into some DMs, all that good stuff. Just get the word out with us. Yeah, so let's see. Do we have any questions from folks? Oh, you know what? We do have a poll.
Yeah, I would say though, there's been some really good questions, so maybe we should answer those. The first one, Erica, I'm not sure about the VeChain exactly, but there's actually probably dozens of different supply chain tracking companies, and we've been in discussion with a few that align not just with our mission, but our ethics, right? So one of the things that we are both really proud of is that we're women, which is already hard enough in the startup industry, and also just the social aspect. So we want to align all of our collaborations with people and organizations that have very strong ethics like we do. And so then some of the questions are, what are the parameters for businesses to meet? Will they be listed on your website? So yes, one of the things that we will strive and do is to be fully transparent. So for example, some of the things that a company, in order to be on neuterra, must discuss and disclose is, for example, their demographics, right? So it's one thing to say that you have quote unquote diversity in your company, but if all that diversity is at the lower tier, that's actually not diversity, right? So that's caste. That's a caste issue, and it's happened in every company. So that's some of the stuff, and I could go on for hours. We have a whole document, and we're working with some other groups that have done a lot of this transparency indices kind of stuff. So yeah, I could go on for hours. And then I guess a question for you, Fatima, is what is your top priority with neuterra or as neuterra?
Okay, that's a really good question. Who asked that question? I'm curious. That's Angie. Fine. Oh, okay. I love it. So, when I first started, when I came up with the idea for neuterra, I always told myself, because, okay, let me back up. I've always been an advocate for women and girls, like always, globally. Women and girls, I always wanted to just see them better off, no matter what part of the world they were in, global north, global south. So for me, I said early on, how cool will it be to have a tangible impact on a woman or girl's daily life, in the global south? How cool would it be to change their daily lived experience if they did not have to deal with some of the current supply chain horrors that they're already dealing with? And I was like, even if I could just help one person initially, that would be awesome. And I think that has really kept me going, just knowing that this could really change people's lives, and people's lives that we are not exposed to, and that we're not supposed to be exposed to, or we're not supposed to care about. So that's my number one driving force: people and planet. We always say people and planet in that order. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think that is a really important point. And for me, my top priority is education. So as mentioned, I am an educator, and I know the only way out of any mess that we're in is education. And unfortunately, most of the green or sustainable claims made by companies are not actually true, which leads people to purchase products that they think are doing good for people and the planet, but really aren't, which then, exacerbates a problem. And so for me, I want to help people learn, what does that label actually mean? Does that certification mean something? And that's what we're going to do with neuterra. You can go on to neuterra, find brands that you can trust to be vetted, because unfortunately, you can't do that on any website right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for us too, it's really important for us to build strategic partnerships, because one thing we've noticed is that there are a lot of great initiatives and really awesome people working on these large, complex problems, but they're doing it in silos. Um, which if we kind of like broke down some of them and joined forces and worked together, we could tackle a problem from, both ends and address it better. So one of the first things we're going to do is just create some really, important and strategic partnerships, and just hit the ground running, really. So I think for us, like, we're really passionate about the campaign because we know what we'll be able to do once we close out this campaign and it's successful. We know, the type of impact that we can have. And I think that's what we're ultimately, we just have our eyes on the ball.
Yeah. And Angie, to
Yeah.
answer your question, initially, yes, we're going to be focusing on clothing.
Mhm.
The reason being is that it in itself is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases, water pollution, air pollution. And within that sector, there's been a lot of legislation that's already started to be enacted, which will help drive this momentum. The next goal, based on some of our consumer interviews, would be like household items and household goods, right? So, cleaning supplies and things like that. But fashion is kind of the low hanging fruit that would make a huge impact on not just the environment, but as Fatima said, people that are making our clothing along the different supply chains.
Yeah. I say, what we wear matters. Um, so yeah, let's see. Do we have any more questions? Does anyone have any comments they want to share out? Oh, thank you. High five from Angie. That's awesome. Oh, thank you, Celie. We appreciate those kind words. Oh, Erica likes the rewards. Awesome. We really thought about them. We didn't want to just have anything, but we also wanted them to, for people to enjoy them. I really like the tree planting. That's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Erica asked, what is the incentive for companies to join neuterra? She assumes that consumers will pay more for the assurance that the work was fair and good.
So there are a couple of things. Right now, what we're going to do is turn supply chain disclosure into brand loyalty and customer loyalty. So there is a shift in the type of transparency that people want. So the more transparent a company can be, and the more they can back up those claims, then we understand that they will ultimately be successful. Another thing too is, so when you're looking at how harmful a supply chain is, at the same time, you're also making that supply chain more resilient because you know where your items are, and things like that. So it's kind of like a win-win. Their supply chains are less volatile and they are getting more like true like publicity and things like that. And more consumers will flock to them. And that's why we want to create neuterra, because we want to have a platform where we're highlighting brands that are already doing the work, because we know if something like this exists, consumers will choose this over the options that we currently have. We just have to provide folks with a better option that's out there.
I think that's a good point, is that where do you go? What brands do you look for, right? What do you Google? And when you do Google, you get millions of results and most of it's fake. And so that's one of the goals and the incentives for smaller companies, right, is to help them get brand publicity as well, right? Because otherwise you have no idea who to search for on the internet. Angie asked, what are top 3 actions for us to take away from you tonight?
Great question. I'm going to let the climate scientists go with that. I'll throw one out there too. But I think we had this question on our rewards. And I know Mindy had already done a great job answering it. So I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or anything.
Well, I think the first is, if we're thinking about neuterra, if you'd like to support the goals and mission of neuterra as a business, obviously, please share our campaign. I fund women with everyone you know. Like everybody, you know, right? Because the more people that know about it, the more people, there's so many people that are interested in this type of work. They just don't even know that, you know, we exist. And that's, you know, just part of the game. In terms of actions in your daily lives, I mean, I tell people, I mean, you have to be educated and vote, because things don't get changed unless there's actual action and policy involved. So educate, share our campaign, and be engaged / vote in whatever way that means to you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because a lot of the laws that were enacted were because of like the public discourse. So a lot of the climate laws and the environmental laws that we have now were because people and consumers, they wanted more, and they brought those concerns forward. So we honestly have to keep doing that. But you know, another thing too is just like looking at the ingredients on, you know, the things that you're going to buy. So some things, you know, no matter what the label says, whether they can say it's sustainable, it's natural, it's eco-friendly, there are a lot of buzz terms. So you know what, the first thing I will say is there's so many buzz terminologies, and they don't have any legal meanings or any legal definitions or anything like that. So like natural, eco-friendly, there's so many. Maybe like learn those, that way you can watch out for some greenwashing traps. And then, like I was saying before, just looking at the different ingredients. So a lot of times something might be labeled sustainable, but you know that if it's plastic or, you know, other ingredients that derive from plastic, they're derived from fossil fuels, so they're not, you know, eco-friendly. So just things like that. But honestly, there's so many little things. But I think just off the top of my head, when you're, you know, shopping, just try to be cognizant of the buzzwords that they love using them. They love throwing them out there.
And eco-friendly doesn't always mean human friendly. So just keep that in mind too.
Yep.
Because there are natural things like arsenic that you definitely don't want to be consuming as a human. It's natural, but you definitely don't want to have that around you.
Yep. And you know, too, I'll say this because I think we have a few minutes. So even with the renewable energy, like there's this huge push for renewable energy, but now we're seeing, because of like racism and caste discrimination, a lot of times these plants are still being placed in communities of color. So that's something that we have to speak out about, and, you know, make sure that we're aware of like what type of communities are impacted, why are they impacted, just, you know, noticing that there's always a pattern. And I think it's really unfortunate that here we are trying to shift to renewable energies and we're still using the same racist playbook. So it's something we just got to be aware. But yeah, we have a couple minutes. I just want to stress to folks, you know, if you like our mission, definitely contribute, subscribe to our actual website, neuterra.io, and then just share our campaign on your social media, share with, you know, friends directly. You can text folks, DM folks. You know, we really truly support, you know, appreciate your support, and, you know, support now means more than ever. Like it means more than anything to have your support, your early support. So thank you guys. Were there any more questions or anything like that? Oh, let's throw up our poll real quick.
Oh, I just exited out of it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to send some links and I can't text or chat with the poll open on my end. So I apologize for that. I'm going to share our Instagram. I think that's it. Please follow us if you have Instagram. Keep up to date with what we're doing.
Yeah. And honestly, if you guys have any other questions, text me, call me. This is like a close knit group of folks. Email, I'll be more than happy to talk about neuterra. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming and for your great questions.
Yes.
Stay curious. This is
Yes.
fantastic support. We appreciate it.
Yes. Stay curious and stay asking questions, especially when it comes to brands. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.